radios. I figured I would share with you some of the things that I listen to as I'm driving from city to city in the middle of the night, because there's nobody to talk to, except for every once in a while an artist or one of the crew guys will come up and chat. Then they'll go back to bed and you're bored for 4 or 5 hours. Anyway, this is what I found recently. It's on Pandora, but I believe there are other carriers that have it. The first one is Storytime with Seth Rogen. Yeah, Seth Rogen, a comedian. This is a well-produced podcast. I mean, he's got a sound designer, an audio guy, and I think he has a writer. But anyway, Seth Rogen, I never expected this out of him. So I've been listening to this podcast for about a week in between my sessions of NPR, because I'm old and boring. That's what old and boring people do. They listen to NPR. So far, I have made it through these podcasts on the Seth Rogen Storytime show. Glorious Bastards, The Ballad of Mount Doogie Dowler. That one is cool. That's a story about a man that gets attacked by a bear. And the fella lived through it, and he's interviewed by Seth, and he's laughing about this at certain points because it's all over. But he makes humor out of getting attacked by a grizzly bear. What other ones have I listened to? We have Hey Me, and if I could recommend any of the podcasts from Seth Rogen that you should listen to, the other one is called The Crappiest Place on Earth. And if you've ever had one of those situations where you just didn't make it to the bathroom, yeah, you need to listen to that podcast. It's hilarious. So I'm happy I found this podcast. I hope you sign into Pandora or whatever brand you listen to and pick up this story time with Seth Rogen. Hopefully next week I'll have another one to recommend, but this week it's all about story time with Seth Rogen. I really, really haven't found a podcast to enjoy in a long time, and this one's just, it's flooring me. It's so well done and so well produced. I just highly recommend it. In this business, sometimes you're out by yourself with a band, and the band and the crew are on the same bus, and we're yanking a trailer around with merch in it, whatever. And sometimes you're on a tour that has 10 or 15 buses, and sometimes there are tours with 35, 40 buses. I don't like those as much. I like the mom and pop tours. I like 1, 2, or 3 buses all pulling trailers, maybe out there with a tractor trailer doing theaters, whatever. That's my kind of deal. Anyway, when we're out there, multiples of us, I'll hear on the radio, "Hey Eddie, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm just jamming out with Iron Maiden." You're always listening to Iron Maiden. I say, what's wrong with that? It's good storytelling music. That's what I like. Tell me a story as I'm driving down the road. And they'll tell you about the Indians. They'll tell you about this war. They'll tell you about attacking the other side. And I just have always enjoyed the melodic and percussive music of Iron Maiden. You probably already noticed that if you pay attention to my channel. Anyway, Eddie is also slow. Don't be like Eddie. Eddie, about 2 weeks ago, found out about the best of the B-sides that Iron Maiden released back in November of 2002. That is 22 years ago. 22 years ago, almost. So, I've been playing the hell out of that album. I just love that all those B-sides are there in an album form. I had already known about some of the other B-sides, like Women in Uniform and Reach Out. Reach Out has probably been my favorite Iron Maiden song, more so than any of the other mainstream releases that the band has had. It's an uplifting song, and I just enjoy it. Reach Out was written by David Caldwell for Adrian Smith back in the day when he had the entire population of Hackney, a band I assume. And it's covered as a B-side way back in 1986. One of the things that makes the song perfect in my ears is the way Bruce Dickinson sings the backing vocals behind Adrian Smith. And it's a typical Iron Maiden song with melodies and changing tempos, and I just enjoy it. One of my favorite Maiden songs. Anyway, they do a couple covers. They do a Zeppelin cover, and they also do a really cool cover of Cross-Eyed Mary from Jethro Tull, Iron Maiden style, of course. And I just jam out to this album at least once a night or once a week, on top of listening to Bruce Dickinson's Tattooed Millionaire album. That's another one of my favorite things to listen to as I'm driving down the road from city to city. Management and I would like to thank you for stopping by and wasting 5 to 8 minutes of your life with me here on Rock and Roll RC. Thank you. We all just blame it on Spectrum radios.